Recording. Cool. Let's start our second week talking about NFTs in BrightID community call. Last week, I think we did a really good job talking about the concept of NFTs, what they are, and we reviewed some examples. This week, I think we can take another step forward. I think Philip and Carlos have lots of news since last week. It's a million miles per hour in this space. So let's see what has happened since last week that we talked. And later on, we're going to have the asking question sessions. I'm always asking lots of questions. I'll try to control myself. And this time, I'll pass it to Philip, please.
All right. Well, welcome, folks. Glad to see a bunch of you back again. So NFTs have continued to go nuts. Just to say, the recording, the Beeple auction happened today, and that NFT piece sold for close to $70 million. That is the third highest price ever paid for a work by a living artist. And it's also, so that was auctioned by Christie's Auction House, which is sort of known across the world. And it was the first time that they'd ever auctioned off something that was purely digital. So there have been some things before that had a digital component, but this is nothing but the digital ownership of the file. It perplexes lots of people that have not been in the space that any one of you can have a copy of that file. It's just a JPEG. You can have it. You can store it on your computer. You can look it on your phone. Everyone can enjoy it, but only one person can own it. And the Ethereum blockchain lets us prove that to be true. One of the great things about NFTs is their wonderful provenance record. You can see, yep, the artist minted it from this correct wallet. Anyone can sort of verify that. You can see how it's changed hands over time and track everything back. In the regular art world, there are amazing examples of people cheating, forgeries, stolen things. Like, I mean, if you steal the NFT, you can, okay, now we know exactly what wallet it's in. Interesting stuff, but it's got a perfect record of who holds these things. So.
I also heard of the news about Kings of Leon having their auction for their NFTs. They were the first band who auctioned their songs as NFTs on the internet. I can listen to them on my Spotify, and I have, and the songs are pretty cool. But people have bought the NFTs. I don't know how much they sold for, but yeah, it was an instance of an official band putting their songs as NFTs on the internet.
So Poslar, is the price for music NFT, is it comparable to like a service that allows you to buy a song? No, it's much higher. So what do you get? What more do you get? Obviously Philip was saying you get the provenance of like showing, okay, I mean, but is it limited? Is it like saying, okay, you can like we sell an unlimited amount on this platform, but on this platform we're only selling 1,000, so it's like a limited edition way of owning the song. Is that what's different, or what's different?
What I'm reading is that it says Kings of Leon sold their NFT in an auction for 1.4 million, which is 766 ETH for
How many did they sell?
The whole album.
Yeah, but how many copies of it did they sell in this limited manner?
I don't know. It says exclusive album editions, digital artwork, lifetime concert passes were part of the drop that was put onto the auction.
Got it.
The point is that there's still 8 days. You can still buy the album. So yeah, like I bought one like 0.035 ether, like the normal one that they're just selling to people.
Is that
The,
the
the,
album, the
yeah,
music album that you got?
and you can with that NFT you can claim later a LP, a commemorative LP for it. But yeah, there's still 8 days, but I don't know how many they have sold already.
So it
Can you
sounds
give
to
us a
me
link
like
maybe?
the proof of ownership is important because you may get future things. Obviously, you get some things right now, but you may get something in the future because they can say, "Hey, we want to give a reward to everyone who's purchased a one of our songs in the past." And instead of saying, "Okay, well, dig up your receipt and mail it to us," or something, really old school like that, you can just say, "Well, it's very easy for me to prove that I own this NFT of this song, and cool, yeah, I'm happy to have this fan loyalty bonus that you're giving out. Yeah, send it my way."
Not exactly
So you,
NFTs, but the artist RAC. He's an electronic music artist who's really into Ethereum. Uh, he went back and looked at everybody that had like paid money for anything from him that they could figure out. So like CD sales, merchandise, concerts, like anybody on their like mailing list where they could figure out. And then he dropped social tokens to all of them based on that past participation, which had nothing to do with the blockchain. What they got was, an ability to claim an Ethereum token. But yeah, so that's just sort of one example that has happened. He put out an early NFT called Tape, where he made 100 physical cassette tapes, a new album, printed 100 cassette tapes, and each tape NFT is redeemable, or maybe it's not an NFT, maybe it's an ERC20, but it's redeemable for one physical copy, a la Unisocks. Some people have redeemed, a lot of people have no interest in redeeming. It's like the fact that they could is important, but they never actually plan to.
I see. Do you see a future where I can put in my the NFTs as collateral and get loans?
Yeah, you already can. It's small and just beginning, but Niftyfi does that. So people can offer up their NFTs to say, hey, here's the NFT. I'd like to take a 6-month loan. I'll pay this interest rate. And then a lender can come in and say, okay, I'll make that loan. And then if the borrower pays it back, they get their NFT back. If they don't pay it back, the lender gets the NFT. The Flamingo DAO has done some limited lending on that platform, and in every case been paid back. But they go in as sophisticated NFT buyers and look, hey, I'm willing to make this loan because even if it doesn't get paid back, like I'd be happy to buy that and sort of get that NFT at that price. And if it does get paid back, then I make some interest. So yeah, I'd say we're very early in that reality. The other thing is not lending it so much, but NFTX does pooled sort of NFTs. So you can put your, this is particularly true for NFTs that have kind of large additions. Hash masks is a great example. So you can put your hash mask into a bucket of a bunch of them, and there's liquidity for that mask token. Anybody can take one mask token and like fish out one random hash mask. You don't know which one you're going to get. You won't get back yours. You'll just get back one of them. But that gives liquidity for things that might not otherwise have liquidity.
Interesting.
So there's already a question from Jack. Jack asks, could we get a quick rundown on NFT transactability? Would it be the same as trading a coin on the Ethereum chain? Very basic question.
Yeah, so shorter answer is pretty close. Not all the tools exist yet, but in terms of moving it around, right? It's a token on Ethereum. It's a little uglier than an ERC20 because sort of each and every one is different in the token standards that they use. So a lot of people, when they're transacting, just want to move things around, they'll use OpenSea to do transfers. And OpenSea just makes it easy and human readable, because you can like pull up your wallet in OpenSea, you'll see all the NFTs you have as images, and then you can like click on one and click transfer and send it over to some other address. So that's easier than for most people than trying to do it, sort of through MetaMask or directly through the contract code. And OpenSea doesn't charge any fees for when you do a transfer like that.
Oh, okay. Here's an interesting question from Michael Bauer. It says, how many competing standards are there? Do we know how many EIP or ERC NFTs there are? I actually don't know.
I don't know either.
I think there's two main ones that I'm aware of, 721 and then 1172 or something like that. But I mean, the word competition might be like a little different in this context, because the standard just allows different capabilities for a token. So if it has these specific functions in the contract, then it qualifies for that standard. And if you want to add other things, that's fine too. It doesn't make it a different thing, but it still belongs to that standard. But if you don't have those functions, those specific things, then you're creating a different standard, which then you might not be compatible with other contracts out there. So yeah, I don't know if competition is exactly accurate in this context, or what they mean by competition.
And it's interesting. So 721 is probably the most dominant at this stage. And it's funny, 721 is a lot based on sort of what CryptoPunks started out as, really became 721. What CryptoPunks themselves are not 721. So they can't do all the cool things that their children can do. So people have figured out how to wrap old things like CryptoPunks to give them the functionality. Just like you can wrap, right? Ether can't use all the tools of ERC20, but you can wrap Ether into an ERC20 token, and that's there's wrapped punks so that they can transact on OpenSea, for example, where tons of NFT activity happens. If you don't wrap it, it has to be basically transacted on the Larva Labs website that was specifically built for transacting punks. So there's definitely benefits to meeting the standards of lots of other projects.
Yeah, so that other standard I was thinking of was 1155. Yeah, somebody also just posted a link to a tweet discussing a new standard for, like, I guess, digital identities.
Yeah, it's from Joel, one of our friends over at 3Box Labs. That's really cool. Yeah, I knew they were coming out with that soon. Basically, that allows, so a DID is a decentralized identifier, and those are really important for like registry lists. Like, let's say you could think of it, let's say it's your ticket to access a venue or something like that. So these just being able to have that, anywhere where a decentralized identifier is used, you can now use an NFT, which is pretty cool. So yeah, any sort of registry list, you could imagine for like a list of eligible voters, a list of eligible participants. That's really interesting. And so it's almost like a, yeah, so you get the same, that's pretty interesting. So you get the same methods of interacting with the digital identifiers as you would with the NFTs. It's pretty cool.
Could you like explain more how that would work with NFTs as a digital identifier for? Does it have to do with proof of personhood at all, or not?
No, because they're transferable. So these are not badges, they're NFTs, but it's still, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me are access control lists, or maybe object capabilities. So if you say like, whoever holds this NFT has the capability of doing this, like maybe reading this secret file or whatever, and you can move that around as needed. It doesn't have to necessarily, a digital identifier doesn't necessarily have to uniquely identify a person. So it's just kind of taking some, so a lot of people have built towards the digital identifiers or decentralized identifier standards. And so it's taking maybe applications that already have that tooling in place for that and allowing them to just use NFTs, which are maybe more convenient to, if I'm specifically thinking if they need to be transferred in some way, distributed, or the access transferred to someone else, how it makes it more convenient if it can be represented as an NFT. But yeah, this is I'm just reading this at the same time you guys are, but that's really cool.
Welcome, Marty.
It is here.
It says what this means is that the DID is controlled by the owner of the NFT. So yeah, if you want to easily, because maybe some of the other ways of managing control of a DID are more clunky than an NFT. But if I want to easily like say, okay, Paslar, I used to be the one that had access to our Zoom account, and now I want to give you access, and give you, like, transfer my control from me to you. I can just send you the NFT and then you get control. So it says, yes, this means that NFTs can be used for access control in all systems that use the DID standard. Wallets can support using NFT DIDs. Okay, so yeah, I mean, wallets know how to hold tokens, so that rather than the wallet like having to read from IPFS or something like that, now the wallet can just read the balance of the token and see who has control. And like I said, use the same did methods to that maybe you already have tooling around if you've already been building towards the W3C standards. So it's definitely makes the transferability simpler in some cases, I think, is the main benefit. But yeah, that's an interesting Twitter thread to read, I think.
I see.
Yeah, so look up 3box on Twitter if you want to. I guess Ceramic is probably tweeting about it too. So yeah, look up Ceramic Network on Twitter and learn more about it. Oh, here's another question. Are you familiar with transferring an NFT from the main ETH blockchain to the XDAI chain? Would they, for all intents and purposes, be identical to the NFT on ETH? Now, here's an interesting thing. So the bridges that I know about for transferring from, say, Ethereum mainnet to ID chain, or Ethereum mainnet to XDAI chain, those bridges, which were created by POA, those, from what I know, they take an ERC20 token on the mainnet side, and they produce an ERC. Oh, what is it? Sorry, I can't remember the 3 numbers in the other one. But there's some other token standard that they become over on the XDAI side. Carlos is saying 721. Anyways, so yeah, I thought it was actually a different number, but maybe it's just 721. but let's say that that's true. In that case, those aren't the NFT ERC. That's not the NFT ERC number that we were talking about earlier. So it's not going to be an NFT, but you could probably wrap it. You could probably figure out a clever way to wrap NFT tokens and send them through. I would go to the OneHive Discord and ask about that, because I think that I've definitely, I mean, they have their own NFTs that they've minted on XDAI chain, but maybe they're thinking about bringing NFTs over from mainnet. So I would talk to those guys. I'm sure they've thought about it.
Yeah, I think people are tinkering with it, and there's not a clean, established way that lots of people like yet.
Yeah, I know that they launched a couple of them, Alvin and Sweatpants on the OneHive chain. So you can buy, or sorry, on OneHive chain, might as well be OneHive chain now, on the XDAI chain, but you can get those on the XDAI chain. I don't know about being able to move them to a different chain.
You can mint things on Nifty Inc. That's a thing that Austin Griffith likes to play around with. You know, it's like people do like little doodles and then mint them for fun.
Yeah, obviously ProOp is doing something, because I mean, maybe you know about this, Carlos, but like ProOp mints you an NFT on XDAI chain, but then they say that you can transfer it, or they say that you can also get it on mainnet if you want, if you want to pay the gas. But I wonder what it's doing. I mean, I wonder how it's doing that. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, we can ask them next week.
Yeah, they'll be here next week. So that's a great question to ask ProOp next week.
You need to remember. Cool.
Yeah, so Jack's writing more in the comments about, obviously the expense of main chain just makes a whole lot of things not viable. I definitely think we're going to see a lot of experimentation on other chains. Right now, if I was buying any valuable NFTs, I would want them on mainnet, because I'm confident mainnet will be there. There have been some weird examples recently of like sort of companies that like put up NFTs, and then like the company kind of fell apart, and like the NFTs, like it's gone now because they were storing the images centrally, and like now they're not storing them anymore, so like they're not even there. And people are using IPFS, and there's a variety of tools, or things like art blocks where it's actually generated. There's open source software that generates the thing based off a hash, and you can regenerate it because it's all the information's available. But that's going to become a thing. It's like, where is the data stored, and what blockchain secures it? And you better be really confident with both the storage medium and the blockchain controlling the ownership if it's going to be valuable.
I got a question, and I've been exploring this. I have these friends, basically my students back when I was in Iran, who are pretty amazing artists. And how would you get them involved on a creation the point of view? If an artist wants to get involved and put his work for sale on Ethereum as NFTs, how would they start? Where is their starting point? Where would they upload their images and start minting their work?
I got something to say about that. Well, I mean, as we've already been discussing, the transaction fees are prohibitively high on mainnet. So that is like an apprehension for folks that I've been talking to in the first place. But just a couple of days ago, Unique One, who is on mainnet, started out on mainnet. They bridged over to XDAI, and they now are an NFT platform on XDAI, and they had a minting event where like the first 3,000 people that minted something on their platform are going to get airdropped another unique NFT. but the minting is a fraction of the cost. And so I've got a whole bunch of friends that are new to crypto and are artists. They wanted to try it out. They've been hearing all about it. They came on. I gave them some tokens, and they minted their first like art they've made. Like in the real world, they minted it, and now they have some NFTs on their account as them as the artist. They were able to buy some other people's art that they liked. They and so now that's like the first step into the space that gives them a little bit of taste. Maybe somebody bought one of their pieces, like I bought one of theirs, just to make sure they got that feeling of somebody buying their token. I think the more that kind of happens, it just sinks in, like this is an actual way to put my art out there and start to derive some value from it. And then again, if we talk about being able to bridge that back to mainnet, that's a different story. But we're heading in that direction, I think.
Also say OpenSea allows you to mint an NFT that doesn't go on chain until it's sold. So you mint it for free, and you can put it up for sale, but it's only when it gets sold that it gets minted.
Yeah, I help I help a friend just setting up one OpenSea account. You just need to create it. You need to pay like $40, and after that you can just put the NFTs, and yeah, when someone buys it, it gets minted, so the artist doesn't need to pay for minting the NFTs. He had 5 pieces. He had already sold 3 of them. Of course, I did the same as Jorin. I bought him one, at least for his for him to have the experience. And Bitika bought another one. So yeah, thank you very much for that. He's pretty happy about it. And well, someone else just bought one piece for a little bit weight, like double what we pay for it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And encourage your friends.
So it is still reasonable to put something on OpenSea on sale, because the other time I was trying to put something that I had on sale and it was asking for like 150, something like that, gas fee. Or
No.
was I doing something wrong?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe you could have happened to have chosen a time when gas was 300 or something.
Timing is always important. I'm so interested in listening to Maddie and his points that he was trying to make and he didn't get the time to last week. And I really hope he speaks English, as he always does in the core team meetings, but I'm here to help if he wants me to.
خیلی ممنون. من فکر کنم چیز زیادی نموند از جلسه قبل. هم شرکت کردم بیشتر که یاد بگیرم.
Okay. Maddie says that there wasn't so much to add to last week's discussions, and yeah, he is joining today to learn rather than continue those talks. So okay.
یه نکته که فقط می‌خواستم اضافه کنم اینه که کماکان جمله جلسه قبلی که فیلیپ گفت تو ذهنمه که ولیو داخل اجتماع ما الزاماً فانجبل نیست، قابل تبدیل نیست، و اینکه NFT ها یک شروعی هستن برای چیز کردن، ریپرزنت کردن نان فانجبل ولیو ها داخل فضای بلاک چین. این واقعا به نظرم جای خیلی خیلی گسترش بیشتری نسبت به الان داره و تازه احتمالاً شروع این بازی باید باشه.
Maddie says a point that he wants to mention is something Philip said last week that is stuck in his mind since last week, and that is when Philip said the value is not necessarily always fungible, and the NFTs can be the start of putting non-fungible value on blockchain and experimenting with that. Cool. So if there is any other questions we want to talk about, let's do that. Otherwise, let's stop recording and make a group connection together because it's fun.
Yeah, we can
But,
also take questions, general questions about BrightID.
Sure, yeah. Jack has also another question. He says about, apart from XDAI, I think Flow is its own chain, separate chain. Would that be more friendly to new users, Flow?
I don't know. I mean, I think that if you're going to bother to make a new chain, like what we did with ID chain, it better be because it's friendly to new users. I mean, like with ID chain, you don't even really, I mean, depending on what you're using it for, the goal is that you should be able to get gas and use it without having to, go through that learning curve that you would on other chains. It's certainly not the expense. So I would imagine that Flow has done something similar. I haven't used that chain. Has anyone here used it?
I haven't used it, but I mean, so Flow is created by a company. It's created by Dapper Labs, and it's what they use. So NBA Top Shots operates on that. I don't have a deep understanding. It certainly made early investors a lot of money, but it's a centralized chain. So sure, there's it operates faster, more efficiently than a public blockchain, but long term, I want to be building on something that's open and decentralized.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I want to. Well, I think Kevin, you're just writing directly to me. So if you want to write in the chat, you need just to change your settings. But yeah, like I'm totally Kevin is telling me in the chat. I think he just missing the general chat. That Flow is just the only thing that is built in Flow is Top Shot, and well, they're like right now you can say that it's actually not a permissionless blockchain. We have seen a little bit of drama on Twitter with some accounts or some person that had got banned from NBA Top Shot and they can't do anything about the NFTs. So like yeah, they're losing the money. So I'm actually waiting for the IMX from Immutable and Starkware. They are going to be or to do. They say 9,000 TX per second, especially directed to NFTs. So that's what I'm really waiting to see. And it will be on an L2. So I'm pretty excited. And from what they say, it's going to happen like really soon. So yeah.
Yeah, before we jump into the connection party, I posted a link to mural art /home. It's on mainnet, but they gave a airdrop for any folks that have held NFTs. So people that are interested in this market. So if you've held an NFT, I think it was a couple months ago they did the snapshot, but they're airdropping. Yeah, so they're doing an airdrop. It's worth a couple $100, so it was actually worth doing the transaction fee on mainnet. If you find a decent time, even at like high fees, it was worth it. So that is worth checking out.
So there's someone typing like math. You can mute yourself. I think that's Sinan. Can you mute yourself, man? Yeah.
I was unlucky with mural.
Yeah. He's hungry at his keyword.
I think Maddie wants to say something.
Yes. یکی از چیزایی که فکر می‌کنم خیلی تا توی افق خیلی شاید مثلا زمان متوسط در حد فکر می‌کنم 6 ماه تا مثلا 2 سال آینده NFT ها رو چیز بکنه، متحول بکنه، مثلا اگه این بول مارکت ادامه پیدا بکنه، دقیقاً بحث ایردراپ ها هست. الان ایردراپ هایی که داره داخل چیز انجام میشه، جامعه بلاکچین انجام میشه، خیلی کور میزنه به اصطلاحاً. فکر کنم NFT ها خیلی کمک میکنه به اینکه کامیونیتی هایی که حول ولیو های ریشه‌ای وجود داره اینا شناسایی بشن، به کسانی که دارن ولیو اد میکنن و کسانی که مخاطب قرار میگیرن برای این ولیو اد کردن و اینا رو خرید میکنن و یعنی سرمایه گذاری میکنن رو اینا شناسایی بشن برای پروژه های کلانتری که میخوان به کامیونیتی وصل بشن. با ایردراپ کردن خیلی بهتر و دقیق‌تر میتونن چیز بکنن. یعنی الان خیلی هستن که روی گیت کوین مثلا میرن یک چیز میکنن یا مثلا با یک یک کاری انجام میدن برای که بتونن مثلا توی ایردراپ ها یه چیزی به دست بیارن. احتمالاً خیلی زود پروژه خیلی دقیق‌تر میتونن با کمک NFT ها کامیونیتی حول یک جنس خاصی از ولیو رو تشخیص بدن و اینا رو به سمت خودشون جذب کنن.
I see. Maddie is saying that in a matter of like 6 months to 2 years, especially with the bull market continuing, he says airdrops make much more sense with NFTs rather than the ERC20s as we've seen so far.
نه منظورم اینه که به جای اینکه با
using NFTs in the wallets to identify people for airdrops rather than the other tokens and activities makes more sense. It makes more sense finding communities who are really interested in a community and they are adding value to this community and putting the money to buy these NFTs to hold these NFTs. It makes more sense using them to identify these people. A kind of a bad example for that would be people just donating to a couple of projects on Gitcoin just for the sake of the future potential airdrops without even caring about any projects. But with NFTs, that would be the better managed. The airdrops would be more meaningful.
Need to take that opportunity. Gitcoin round 9 has started. Y'all should go donate the stuff on Gitcoin. BrightID also has a grant. We'd love your support there, but there are hundreds of great projects that could use your support. Plenty of matching funds, so please be generous. And if you do, definitely connect up your BrightID trust bonus, so all your grants will receive 25% more matching money.
Yeah, exactly. Look for your trust bonus tab in your user profile to be able to link your BrightID, get more matching for the grants that you love, and look for BrightID on there too.
I usually say projects love you 20% more when you're verified on BrightID.
I use that same phrase as well in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yes, Donnie, do you have a question? Comment?
Hello everyone. های پاسدار، من داشتم به سیستم خلق اعتبار بر پایه NFT فکر می‌کردم که هر کسی با برایت آیدیش بتونه، یعنی یه سیستمی باشه که بر اساس برایت آیدی بدون حالا اون داستان پرایوسی و اینا یک اعتباری بده، یعنی هر برایت آیدی یک اعتبار اجتماعی به صورت NFT داشته باشه. و داشتم فکر می‌کردم آیا میشه بر پایه این وام داد، یعنی یه شکلی تبدیل به یک موجودیت نقد شه این اعتباره. نکته اصلیش تو اون قسمت وامدهیشه که چجوری میتونی تو ضمانت کنی نقد شوندگی این، یعنی بازپسدهی این وام رو. آقا مثلا بر پایه این اعتباره یه وامی دادی، مثلا چه میدونم $1000 وام دادی، چجوری میتونی مطمئن بشی که اون $1000 رو طرف که بر پایه اعتبار خودش وام گرفته، چجوری میتونی مطمئن بشی که حتما پسش میده و چه سیستم تنبیهی میتونی تعریف کنی بدون گرو گذاشتن یه موجودیتی مثلا دایی که اتر میگیره؟ نه اینجوری نباشه. ممنون میشم بپرسید کسی اصلا فکر کرده.
فقط راجع به این یه کمی فکر میکنم صحبت کردیم راجبش قبل از اینکه بیای، ولی چشم. Yazani is asking about an idea that he has about creating value based on NFTs, and then with your BrightID verified account, and then creating a social reputation for yourself based on the NFTs that you have received, and maybe providing loans on those NFTs. His main question would be the credit assessment, which is kind of bringing me back to a question where you mentioned a couple of projects that are providing loans based on the NFTs as collateral. How are these projects evaluating the price or the value of these NFTs? Is this a central person just deciding that I think this NFT would be valued at this much, so I can give
No,
you a loan of this
it,
much?
in that case, it's the lenders. So anybody can post up, here's
Both
what I'm
sides.
willing to post as collateral, and this is how much loan I want. And then a lender looks at that and says, okay, yeah, I'm willing to lend 4 ETH on that NFT. They're probably only going to do it if they think it's worth, at least 6 or 8 ETH.
I
Or
see.
even more. Like, yeah, they're taking a high risk. So like you can see some like some axes that were lent for 2 or 3 ether, and they're probably worth 10 or 15. But yeah, that the point is like it's usually a really low value of what is perceived on the NFTs. But as Philip explained, like something like NFTX and these platforms that are creating these base layer NFTs from some collections, that could probably help a lot discovering that value for the actually will get the base value, and that way the rarer NFTs can will have at least that base value, and you can actually get a loan out of that base value super easily. But there's yeah.
That's a great comment. Yeah. So if you put the two ideas together, as Mana was saying, right? If there is a clearly established floor, and that happens somewhat on OpenSea just by like the bidding. But if there's an NFTX pool with a bunch of liquidity in it, so that floor is really a solid one, then it's really easy for a potential lender to say, okay, I know if I got this collateral, I know I could sell it at the floor to NFTX if I wanted. So that makes it easier for them to be willing to do a loan. There's going to be a lot of development in valuing NFTs. There's an interesting project called Upshot that's going to be releasing soon with sort of an appraisal service for NFTs. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because people are, they're making it up at this point, but tools are coming.
I think the main point for me, and also Yazdani, would be the fact that our point of view should be diverted from thinking that, okay, a lending machine would be the machine on top and then people borrowing from the machine, and then more towards having a platform where there are lenders and there are borrowers, and they are like dealing with each other, evaluating the NFTs on both sides.
In a peer-to-peer manner. I am thinking if one day NFTs represent every desirable thing that we do in our life. For example, if I contribute to, for example, BrightID project in inviting someone, for example, I contribute in donation to some projects in Gitcoin. I contribute to many things that are مطلوب است. میشه چی ای پاسدار؟
I think worthwhile, yeah.
For everyone, or for many one, if I have a collection of these values represented in my reputation, I think having ownership of these things as tokens in my history, in my reputation, can represent that if I ask a loan, for example, who is lending me can assess the risk of the my failure in returning the returning that value. I think our NFTs can do very well in tokenizing our reputation, in contributing many different things in our life and in our history, and as the value is changing in I think in the near future, I guess the non-fungible value can become much more important than the fungible value, like tokens that we are currently familiar with and are pumping using speculation.
Yeah, I agree that NFTs help having a better credit assessment for future the DeFi and loaning systems. Yeah, like rather than just checking how much money the guy has in his pocket, checking the NFTs that he is holding would make more sense. I know the type of person that this guy is, rather than just looking at his pocket and how much money he is holding. Yeah. I want to thank everyone before the stopping the record. I really enjoy these calls on NFTs. Super interesting to me. And I'm going to stop recording in a second, but thank you very much. Next week, we're going to have the Patricio from the POAPs, which is, I consider, a kind of NFT. And it would be interesting as a further exploration into this space with Patricio and POAPs. It's a perfect match in a BrightID community call about NFTs, having the POAPs and talking about that. I'm gonna stop recording now, and